Warning. What you're about to witness is a bunch of grown men fighting about a Star Wars TV show that's probably for kids, but not until later on. Viewer discretion is advised. The War of the Stars has just gotten just a little bigger, with the whole army of the Separatists led by a spider-like creature who looks like a genuine monster, unlike the monsters you see on Sesame Street. The two generals converse with a not-so-invisible ship to try to sneak into a planet where Sky Guy goes rogue, yet again, but they ended up winning anyway, cause cartoons. Just then, as the two generals converse with a Sith apprentice who keeps trying to hit on Obi-Wan for whatever reason, reveals a secret about the army of the Republic. Captain Rex and Cody work together to find themselves a mystery to capture this traitor once and for all. For now, until they have another one later on. But you're not supposed to know that yet. Come with us and explore the beauty of Star Wars The Clone Wars with Patrick and Colin on the one, the only, Cantina Cuisine.
Welcome back to the Cantina Cuisine. I've got to get used to saying a different name of a podcast. Even on my other podcasts, I mess it up half the time. I'll be on an Off the Podium episode and welcome you to Double Oz 7. Woo! We're on the Oz Network and welcome you to Cantina Cuisine. I don't know. That's never going to happen because the Oz Network is done, which is why I'm here.
Yeah!
Continue to go through Star Wars The Clone Wars, the animated series, story arc by story arc. And last time we covered the Clone Wars movie. Now we're actually getting into some of the episodes, but if you thought it was going to be as simple as just episode 1, episode 2, no. We're not going that route because George Lucas doesn't tell stories like that. We are here today to talk about the Christophsis story arc, which technically, chronologically, is the first to take place. But this includes Season 2, Episode 16, Cat and Mouse, and Season 1, Episode 16, Hidden Enemy, because these stories are all over the place. And I'm very excited to now get into the TV series and to talk about a lot of these little side characters we're going to get to see bits and pieces of over time. So let's get into it. My name is Colin, and hello, Ugly.
And my name is Patrick, and interesting.
I thought about coming up with a quote from the episode, but I was just your appearance was striking today, so I figured hello, Ugly would be more appropriate. I love these episodes, and I think the coolest thing about doing this by story arc, and this is what you sold me on, to actually come out of a very short-lived retirement of recapping TV and movies to do this, because I've never watched the Clone Wars in this order. And I mean, I think a lot of people, are aware you could find lists online, which, compile it by the story arcs, chronological events and everything.
Yeah.
But I've watched the entire series start to finish twice. The first time when it originally aired, the second time when bits and pieces when I got the Blu-rays for seasons 1 through 4. And then before season 6 came out, I rewatched season 5. And then before season 7 came out, I rewatched season 6. Season 7 is the only one I haven't rewatched yet. But as you're watching the show, you start to pick up on what they're doing. So when they got to what's going to be the second half of our episode here, the Hidden Enemy from episode 16, you're like, wait a second, is this supposed to take place before the movie? But you never can stop long enough to really think about how these events tie in together. So doing this, as I say, young Indiana Jones movie style, where we're kind of reassembling this, it's an interesting experiment. I feel like there's certain things that make me appreciate both of these episodes even more than I did the first time around or the second time around, because I am watching this now specifically with the Clone Wars animated series in mind. So I'm a fan of both these episodes, but I think I'm even more of a fan after watching them out of order like this.
And yeah, I have to agree, it's really, it is interesting to see, how these story arcs are usually go for when they're in chronological order and how they should have been structured. But yeah, I agree with you. I love these episodes. I love Hidden Enemy more than the Cat and Mouse one, only because there's just some stuff that I think that could have been fleshed out a little bit. But I'm just a big fan of Hidden Enemy in general, just because we get more of a clone morality checkup to see they're actually not that they're not that great. They actually can mess up and they actually can change their programming, which we'll obviously get a lot more in season 5, season 6. So I'm very excited to talk about the Hidden Enemy in general, but also just the fact that we have Cat and Mouse who attached it to make it a little bit more, to have it as an opener and just make it a little bit more fun. You're muted, by the way, again.
Having three loud children upstairs means this is going to happen a lot. This happens on all my
Woo!
podcasts. Yeah, I think one of the cool things about this is that we're getting introduced to characters as the characters are getting introduced to them. I mean, we mentioned, last time on the Clone Wars movie that, like, yes, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, those are our main characters. We're going to have the biggest chunk of the episodes focused on them, but we're going to have episodes all over. We're going to have a Kit Fisto episode, coming up pretty soon. But a lot of these side characters, we get to now be introduced to them the way they're supposed to be introduced, because the main villain we're going to get to in this Admiral Trench, that's a character that is on multiple episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know. I'm looking at the count right here. So he had 5 episodes in total over the course of all the seasons.
Really? I thought there was more.
Some of them are minor appearances, though. So as far as episodes that are solely focused on him, there's 3 in total. But yeah, it's going to be cool to watch these with those characters in mind when we get introduced to some of these villain characters or side characters and things like that. So let's get into it. I mean, obviously, just if people weren't listening last week, I mean, the Clone Wars movie technically takes place after these 2 episodes. And these 2 episodes aired out of order. The first one here that we have, which is the cat and mouse episode, I'm just going to read what the opening line of wisdom, I don't know what they technically call those is, which is wise leader knows when to follow. So those things are sometimes just throwaways, sometimes the time of the episode, but it's kind of fun to read those as go along. The opening replacement for the crawl and newsreel narration, we got Senator Organa is on the surface of Christophsis, cut off from the troops and desperately needed surprise, whatever the opening thing is. I love doing that voice. I think it's Tom Kane who did the voice of that. I need to look this up. But let me see here. I'm stalling for time. This probably isn't worth our time.
Definitely not.
Narrate Tom Kane. So Tom Kane, I think, is the voice of Yoda throughout the course of this show.
Yeah.
But he gets this opening here. And yeah, it's just the perfect voice for it. I won't say that every single week, but I had to say it again this week because I love doing the impression of him. So basically the plot line is, before we get to it, and this is what's cool, that in the Clone Wars movie, we don't even see Bail Organa on the planet, but apparently he's there. And Anakin and Obi-Wan have this mission to get there. Anakin has already arrived. And this is the other thing that I think was fun when the Clone Wars movie came out, is because you imagine that Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, Anakin and Obi-Wan are joined at the hip. And I was actually looking through a lot of my books that I had earlier today on some of the Clone Wars books. And it was basically something they did during the entire Clone Wars series. Like, no, very soon after Attack of the Clones, Anakin was no longer a Padawan, he's a Jedi Knight, and they're split up. And this is really the first time we see them where they're not working together. They have their own missions, and they just happen to coincide here. So Anakin's basically waiting on Obi-Wan here. We have the Admiral Trench here, who gets introduced. And we have Obi-Wan showing up and finding out that Anakin's already engaging Admiral Trench. He goes, oh, so nothing out of the ordinary. I did give him a direct order. So this is sort of nothing out of the ordinary because he gave him a direct order. Obi-Wan calls him off. Don't engage Anakin. Pull back. I have a new toy I need to show you. It's like, new toy. Sounds interesting. This is where he's still a little bit of a child there. But they come back, and I love the way that this is introduced. He goes, so where's this new toy? Is there like in the hangar bay of the cruiser here? He goes, well, if you took 2 steps forward, you'd actually be kissing it. And then they uncloak it. It's a stealth ship. So this is something that I don't know if Star Wars had. I mean, a lot of the novels probably had stuff like this, but we never really saw it throughout a lot of Star Wars, the idea of a ship that could cloak itself. This is more of a Star Trek thing. And I don't think you've ever really watched Star Trek, have you?
No, I have not.
Even in Star Trek, there's only certain species that have mastered this technology. So it's always used as a big deal. But everything in this episode is modeled after naval submarine warfare, which is cool that you would have a silent running submarine and everything. So this is their plan, that they're going to sneak past Trench's blockade so they can get the supplies to the surface using this stealth ship. Admiral Yularen basically breaks the news here because they don't even know that Admiral Trench is here. We don't even really find out the backstory throughout the course of the series, other than just mentioning, I think that he was in the Battle of Malastare here. But I love that he's looking at the screens and he just sees Admiral Trench. No, it can't be. And then they mentioned that, we don't ever have a confirmation that he, was destroyed during this battle, but, it's not unheard of for a captain to not go down with their ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then this basically becomes the Hunt for Red October, which Jack Ryan book series, TV series, movie series is something I'm a big fan of. Another thing I was looking through my books for earlier. And the very first one was the Hunt for Red October, which was a great movie with Sean Connery in it and Alec Baldwin about a Russian submarine captain who stole this highly advanced submarine. As Patrick sneezes off audio here, giving some running commentary here. And yeah, like everything in this just sort of plays into it. I love that. Anakin is basically cloaking this stealth ship, and they're very carefully moving. And this is where there's a lot of tension. We're like, oh, we can't get too close. And oh, what if they come any closer to us? What if these ships come any closer? What's going to happen? They're going to discover us. We have some bombers on the surface that are basically bombing Bail Organa's camp. And he gets his communication to Obi-Wan here where he says, help me, General Kenobi. You're my only hope, which is an obvious, I can't call back, call forward to Princess Leia is going to say later on. And Anakin has to make the decision here. Are we going to engage Trench or are we going to deliver these supplies? So, of course, he's Anakin. He says, decloak and fire upon him. But what's cool here is that we don't get Anakin's plan. This was the first time we really get to see him as a general, or I guess he's a commander in this. Or is he general? I think I don't know if he's.
I'm pretty sure all the Jedi were like generals.
Yeah, I think they are generals here. So yeah, we really get to see him coming up with military strategy and everything here. So they decloak the ship, they fire, they recloak the ship, and then we get the flares that he sets off because now Trench has sent these missiles. They go off the flares. And this is where Trench basically says, that's not a tactic that a clone pilot would use. There's something going on here. And this is where we get the hello ugly line as they look at Trench on the communication here. And Anakin comes up with this plan. They're trying to figure out, and again, it's a very, very serious episode. This is the type of thing you would see maybe on the Jack Ryan TV show or, just a regular prime time, military or spy type drama where they're like, how could they actually figure out where we are? How would they be tracking the ship? And they come up with this whole thing of the magnetic signature. So Anakin comes up with this idea. They get the torpedo lock on them. We get another thing where they're recharging their shields. So Trench has to recharge his shields after firing the torpedoes, which Anakin then uses in his favor to turn the ship around, and Trench fires upon himself, which is really cool. So then we get the delivery of the supplies on the surface of Bail Organa. It's such a cool like naval submarine style episode. They went all out. Even when we get like the lighting inside here and the view screens, and you get that ping. I don't know if you ever really watched anything with submarines before, but the way they actually will navigate in the water and be able to figure out what there is they're using sonar, which essentially is sending sound waves out and is coming back as a ping. So depending on how much time is in between these pings, like bing, they're like, oh, there's something that's 100 meters away from us. And then if next time it's a little bit quicker, like bing, they're like, oh, now it's 80 meters. And we get that pinging on there. Oh, it's completely up my alley.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I like this episode. I have a couple comments I want to make. First of all, I thank you for pointing out that I was about to sneeze. I love how you read my mind there. I love the line of Obi-Wan being like, I gave a direct order, but that's not how the usual.
Yeah.
Like I love that line, and especially like the way the clones adapt to the certain Jedi's styles of fighting, which is honestly really cool because we get who is the commander that was with Spark? Like, what's his name?
A clone?
The clone, yeah, the clone.
In this episode,
yeah, because we had Spark, who was the newbie, but who's the command? Who was the commander that was there training Spark? I don't remember his name.
See if I can find him. Keep talking, and I'll do some research here.
Okay, so I love that guy, and I love Spark as well. Just being a young guy and just being like, I'm not used to this, and he's being like, yeah, you're going to get used to Skywalker's tactics, which is, I love the fact that they all are kind of a little bit out of the ordinary. Like, oh, this is not a normal Jedi's tactics. Like, you definitely don't see this from Plo Koon. You don't see this from Yoda. But you just showing that Skywalker is a very different Jedi is honestly, like, really, really cool to me that this episode kind of points out and have the clones, like, obviously adapt you very quickly. And I love the fact that they adapt to different general styles, which is honestly really, really cool. And I like Admiral Trench, like I thought he was in more of the Clone Wars because I loved Admiral Trench. Not just the fact that he's just like a spider ripoff, but like just the way that he has a presence throughout the whole Sith Sith army.
Series.
Like, yeah, exactly. And I do like. I don't know how to say this, but I think he might be a little bit better than General Grievous in this show. Like, I'm kind of more intimidated by him than General Grievous, and
Mhm.
just the fact that he only reason is that he's just very scary, and he like looks scary, and he also like knows how to be scary because he knows how to be very, very smart and very thoughtful about his actions, which is really really cool. And I really wish we actually saw him more because only 5 appearances and including a couple like small cameos, like that's honestly really really sad to see. But obviously, like probably my favorite like appearance from him will be probably later along the line of season 6 when we get the whole
Bad Batch.
no, no, no. No, the like where the Sith, where he finds out the clones had the chips and how they disobeyed
Oh
orders.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like that's probably my favorite like little snippets of him from season 6 alone. Um, I also like the invisible ship. And before we even had this going on, the episode going on, I like kind of like saw it as a plot hole because it's like why couldn't we just use this toy again? Like, we don't really
Yeah.
see it again throughout the whole series, and we don't really see it throughout the whole Clone Wars. So they just invented it for an episode, which again, it's a classic cartoon style series, and again, that's what George Lucas and Dave Filoni were looking for. But then after I thought about it, it's like, Admiral Trench actually discovered how to use this tactic
Yeah.
to their own advantage, and there's definitely because we definitely got that line of like a captain never goes down with his ship
Mhm.
because they got destroyed. So it's like, oh, he might have told the Sith that you got to track the magnetic field of the ship if you want to get off this decloaking device. So it makes sense, but I kind of am a little bit sad we didn't see more of this special ship. I do want to give a big shout out to Lego Star Wars: The Clone Wars, because it's gonna be because when you unlock all the gold bricks, you'll get the exact same ship but gold. And I never got to that point, but it looks so cool. And
Mm.
I just like Star Wars. I just like the Lego Star Wars: The Clone Wars
I've
video game.
I've never played the Lego Clone Wars game. I did play the Clone Wars game that they had, just specifically the Clone Wars game for I think it was Nintendo Wii, because that one actually adapted the Malevolence storyline during season 1, which we'll get to soon. But yeah, I've always wanted to play the Clone Wars animated series. One thing you actually do bring up a very solid point about the fact we never see this ship again, and it's not like a reason is ever given why we don't see the ship again. If they said, "Oh, apparently there's a massive flaw in this thing," and the reactor is going to blow if we start it up again, that would be lazy storytelling, but it's something. And it also reminds me similar to Star Trek. Star Trek has one of the more recent shows, Discovery, which had a ship that could literally teleport itself, but the series was a prequel like the Clone Wars. And it just sort of created this problem for them where you're like, wait, but if this ship exists and is so powerful, why don't we see it in the later ones? So they end up having to write in a time travel storyline for all future seasons where they were like, like 150 years in the future, which it kind of cheapens out. Yeah, that's it's not going to affect my rankings at all, but you do bring up a solid point. Second part of this, the hidden enemy. So
Yeah, my favorite episode of this arc.
so the production codes we went through, yeah, the previous episodes are interesting because this production code was, even though this was the 16th episode of season 1 that aired, the production code was 201. So technically, this was the first one they were producing of the second season. Now they choose to air these in different orders, and in some cases it has just more to do with the fact that like we can't finish this episode just yet because we're still working on maybe some sound effects or some of the animation wasn't up to par.
Yeah.
But it was something that came in during the second season. And when you look at the production code of Cat and Mouse that aired before that, it was 217, which Cat and Mouse was actually right before the what do you call it? Right before the Clone Wars series launched. So I think as they were making that movie, the Clone Wars movie, they said, "Oh, we already had this other episode we were working on, which gave them the idea of the Christophsis arc. Why don't we go back now that the Clone Wars movie has come out and do the cat and mouse thing to show how they got there?" But this one is a lot more similar to the Clone Wars movie because they're already on the surface in this one.
Yeah, yeah.
The opening line of wisdom here: truth enlightens the mind, but won't always bring happiness to your heart. We have Obi-Wan and Anakin, who are basically, this is just a whole back and forth ambush thing. They're trying to stage this ambush. And I love the line they have here. The show is about to begin. It's one of these like, here's where the fun begins type of lines, like get ready for battle. But then as Anakin and Obi-Wan, as Anakin and Obi-Wan are preparing for their ambush, we have the droids that basically ambush them instead. So we have this, they think that they've got the upper hand. Now the droids have the upper hand. And then they have this escape scene, which is really cool. They get separated, and we get the zip line escape that they have here. They eventually are holding up in like their headquarters bunkers or whatever, and they have their tactical droid that they were able to capture, and they plug this in. And this becomes a spy story, which, I mean, I love anything spy related. I mean, James Bond, obviously, Jack Ryan, which I already mentioned. And this, it's like a whodunit plot, like a murder mystery, Agatha Christie style murder mystery slash a spy plot here. Because as they're talking about, we think there might have been a spy. We have this very subtle shot of the comm link that's on. And then they keep talking, and they're like, oh, and we got the communications are jammed. So they realize there's a spy here, and we get this chase scene here. And Anakin and Obi-Wan are already off doing their own thing. And as they're on their speeders, they're like, oh, they've definitely spotted us now. But gee, I wonder why they haven't done anything. Nobody's stopping us. That's unusual. And they kind of figure out, oh, that means we're walking into a trap. And I love Anakin's line here. It's like, that's unfortunate then for them. And we have the rest of this episode is really without Anakin and Obi-Wan. It's just these clones as they're trying to figure out, well, who is the mole? Who is the spy that could be working for it? The one thing I will say I would have liked more in this episode is I would have liked the clones questioning, it's not in our nature to do this. Why would any of us do this? Because that's something that when we get to the stuff that will set up Order 66, further down the road, that becomes a huge part of the show where it's like, wait, but this shouldn't be possible. And none of the clones really question this. They're just like, there must be a traitor among us. Like, so are they all, do they know that they have this in them to potentially be a traitor? Because it doesn't seem it checks out. But they decide they want to start questioning every man. They figure out that this communication, whatever came from, I don't know if Slick is a captain, a commander, or a lieutenant. Do they say in this episode what he is?
For Rex, I think they said he was
Slick.
Slick. I don't remember. Honestly.
Yeah, I can't find it here. But anyway, Slick, who is in charge of this battalion, they figure out it's coming from him. So they basically have this Q&A among all of the members of his company here, question them all. We have a weird scene here where we find out that Asajj Ventress is actually on the planet. Which she wasn't there in the Battle of Christophsis at the beginning. This is where it's like, if they knew at this point that they were making the movie and they'd already produced that Battle of Christophsis sequence in the movie itself, why are you writing Bail Organa and Ventress on here? I mean, you could explain off Bail Organa, well, he was only there for a diplomatic reason and then he could leave. Ventress is such a huge part of it. Like, maybe give us an explanation or one quick cameo of her being on the surface. But we have this guy Chopper, who becomes the main suspect throughout the course of this episode, who is just instantly coming across as suspicious in every single way. And they're all saying, it's like, wait a second, but he didn't show up at the same time as the rest of us. He came later on. And then they find out that he has this battle droid necklace made out of battle droid fingers, which they say like this is against the rules. And I also don't think that they completely explain why this is against the rules. I think if I were to interpret it, I'd say it's because it would show some type of like violent nature, or that there was something personal. It wasn't just a job and they're programmed a certain way. But if that were the case, then they should also be questioning, how could we have a traitor in the first place? But it's fine. I mean, I like that they have this little mystery here. And then we get the I guess the big bombshell of the episode, where it's not Chopper, as Chopper's still looking suspicious. It's not him. It's actually Slick, who mentions the line, something about when the Jedi come back. And they say, wait, but how did you know the Jedi were gone? What do you mean the Jedi come back? So he sneaks off. He's immediately revealed to be the traitor. We have this chase scene. We have the weapons depot explosion, which Slick sets off. Then we get Asajj Ventress, who basically drops through the floor here. That's like a really cool thing. She cuts the floor up, drops through the floor. We get this free fall thing of hers where she lands on a speeder in the escape scene. And then we get a quick cameo from General Loathsome. So this is how you know that they were thinking to tie these into each other, which is why I wish that maybe we had some mention of Asajj Ventress. Even she just says when her first appearance, I just left Dooku, because we have the General Loathsome cameo here. We have Slick spying on them from the controller. Now, this is the best scene. If I'm taking both episodes, even though I say I'm probably slightly bigger fan of the Cat and Mouse, if I'm picking the best scene of the episode, it's this scene with Slick above the ceiling tiles spying on them in the control room where they're leaving the blast room. Again, the way that this is directed, where they're leaving these subtle things, like you see him put the blaster on, but it's not so obvious where they're like zooming in and like dun dun dun. They're just making it a little bit obvious to the audience. Wait a second, he put his blaster down there, and we know there's a guy spying on him. So they leave. We get this fight scene. And we have this speeder thing here where if I don't know if you recognize the music cue here they're playing. It's actually the music from Attack of the Clones, the speeder chasing in Coruscant. When Anakin and Obi-Wan are chasing Zam Wesell, it's like that's the same music, which I'm guessing Kevin kind of just interprets here. We get this fight scene here. The blaster turns out to be empty. And we have him mentioning that like Ventress did offer money, but it wasn't the money I was after. It was my freedom. And this again, it's not really dwelled on as much as it should. Like, why should he want freedom? This is what we're programmed for. This is freedom for us. But I will give them credit, even though that the characters don't ask these questions in the episode. This is one of those that when you're watching this, keeping in mind what we're going to see with the Order 66 stuff that gets set up later on, or the preemptive Order 66 stuff. I think that's in season 6, season 5 or 6.
Yeah, it should be season 6. I think that's what the Admiral Trench started up with.
Yeah. That's when you look back on this episode and really appreciate it. So yeah, both of these are really solid, but I will say that scene with him spying on them and then the little subtle thing with a gun is just so expertly done.
Yeah, and again, like I think I hate to repeat what you said, but I really love this episode just because of the morality thing and just how like, oh, the clones aren't perfect. They're actually like they can actually make their own decisions, which is honestly really cool to see. And just like, oh, they're not just a bunch of robots; they're actually human beings too, which will also help down the line because we get more of a clone story down the line where it's like we can choose if we have freedom or not.
Yeah.
Or if we could either choose, we could either choose to have freedom or we could choose to fight with the Republic to gain freedom. Like that's a really good question that the Clone Wars keeps going on about when we get later on to the whole series. And also like if anything shows, like this is showing that the Clone Wars can carry a whole episode. Like I really love the fact that we get this early on, and just having the fact that we are able to have the series being called the Clone Wars and not having Jedi in it involved with the plot at all, which is honestly really cool to me because again, clones are interesting characters, and again we get Slate who is turned in, who really wants to do it just because of money. Like it's really interesting to see that they're writing these characters smartly and how it's not just a typical Saturday morning cartoon basically. And so I really love it because of that. And I mean, Asajj Ventress, I'm not going to complain about her any day of the week because I love Asajj Ventress in the Clone Wars, and I love how they use her. It's just a sad reality that they couldn't use her like after, which is a little bit of a disappointment because I felt like that they could have used her a little bit. But I understand why they couldn't, but it's just a little bit of a sad thing to me. But yeah, I love this episode. It's probably my favorite episode so far, and we're not even 5 episodes in, and I've already put this as number 1. So,
just a couple things looking here. In the season 1 episodes on IMDb, this is ranked as a 7, or Hidden Enemies ranked as a 7.6. Cat and Mouse is ranked as 7.5. So they're pretty close. Yeah. There are episodes in those seasons that are slightly higher. But I think these episodes, they tie together perfectly. This is one where this is the question I would ask if George Lucas were to ever say, I mean, it's not him now, but Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, whoever decides we want to go back and do the young Indiana Jones treatment and maybe add 1 or 2 scenes in each of these and make them into movies. Does this work as its own movie? I think this 100% works as its own movie. I think
absolutely.
You take the Battle of Christophsis at the end of this and you add 1 or 2 scenes, like a Ventress scene in the Battle of Christophsis, or maybe a scene with Yoda, putting Ahsoka on a ship right at the beginning of Cat and Mouse. You could easily turn this into a movie. For this story arc, I'm 100% buying it because I think these are 2 very strong episodes that work together pretty perfectly.
Yep, and I'm buying it as well. So it's a pretty easy buy. Sorry, I didn't mean to do the impression. I got a couple plot keywords.
What impression? Was there an impression
Trench.
there?
Trench impression.
Oh, you did. Yeah, exactly. I thought there was. you're trying to do like an impression of Yoda or something like that, and it just failed miserably.
No. Impression of Yoda? What the heck is?
Well, you said, sorry, I didn't mean to do an impression, and I'm like, what impression?
I got a couple cool plot keywords. Number one for Cat and Mouse, I have disobey direct order, so that's pretty fun. Avatar: The Way of Water, The Wars, General Luna, Winning of the West. So that's a cool plot keyword. I got one also that's also from the same episode called Refugee Camp. Like, I don't know why there's like refugee camp. Like, I don't get the.
Well, we never get into there being I would assume there's refugees on Christophsis. We don't really get into that. That's more of the Ryloth storyline. I would see that for Ryloth more than Christophsis.
Yeah. And we got the four here. We got a TV show as number one, The Witcher, obviously with the old Henry Cavill TV series, which they let him go. So good job, Witcher. You screwed up.
Left.
Yeah, he left. Yeah, so good job for making him leave. On number two, Civil War. That one is a good movie.
Yeah.
Incendies, whatever this.
Incendies.
Yeah.
Canadian. Denis Villeneuve, Canada's most famous director of the Dune movies. That was his big breakthrough movie here in Canada.
Okay. Well, again, you know much more than I do. So, and then we have Scarface as number four. Don't know what that movie is, but
mob movie.
Yeah. And then we got some from the Hidden Enemy. We have Laser Cannon. I definitely want to add a couple of these movies to my Laser Cannon review. Star Wars: A New Hope, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Black Panther, and Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which most of these are at the top are basically Star Wars. Number 10, do you want to guess what number 10 is? With a Metascore of 3.2 and a 5.2 ranking?
Let's say, what was that Zack Snyder Star Wars ripoff thing? He had Rebel Moon.
Nope, Independence Day Resurgence.
Oh, horrible movie.
Yeah, I know. I know you would be pleased. View Through Binoculars. That's another plot keyword. Back in Action. 2025 PG-13 movie. Furiosa. We're also gonna be doing that for a March Best of 2024 review. I'm so excited for that. And Parasite, and then 7. And honorable mention, Top Gun Maverick is number 5.
And A New Hope isn't on there.
Apparently. There's some good ones I could do as the last one, but I'll do Aborting Mission as our last block keyword of the episode for Hidden Enemy. Heat as number 1, 1995 R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Kundo, Age of the Rampant. That's number 2, 2024 14A movie. Hey, you're gonna like this. Number 3, 24. His ranked up high. With the episode Day 2, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And then number 4. Episode. And then number 4, 24 again. Day 5, episode Day 5, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So 24 honorable mentions for Star Wars and Clone Wars. I bet you're very, very pleased about that.
So if you don't mind me stalling for time here, I still have my listing of all 24 episodes, my rankings of them. I can tell you right now, the season 2 episode that you mentioned, that was the season 2 finale, I believe. Yeah, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., which I ranked number 44 out of how many episodes of 24? 44 out of a bunch. 216 episodes.
Good.
And what was the what was the season 5 one?
9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
9 a.m. to 10. I just have to look through all of my 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Season 5, 9 a.m. to 10?
I believe it was. I thought
that was the 3rd episode of season 5, which I actually is number 34 on all 24 episodes.
Yeah.
So some good episodes of 24 there. Next episode, we're not going to say week because it's probably going to be in 2 weeks or whatever. But next episode that we have, it's your turn. You get to take over as hosting. First of all, rankings.
I'm putting this above the movie.
Yeah, I've got the Christophsis arc at my number 1, the Clone Wars movie at my number 2.
I mean, it's not a surprise. This is a much better storyline than Jabba the Hutt's son, so I will fight you to the death about this. It's probably going to be ended up as my last place ranking for the whole.
You don't have to fight me to the death because I agreed with you.
Oh well, yeah, but I'm just saying to fight me to the death because I'm going to be probably ranking this as my last place for the whole story arcs and probably.
Oh, that's Clone Wars movie. That's really harsh. Come on.
I said what I needed to say, and if you also by the way, I hope everyone likes the new intros that I'm doing for Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I'm excited to hear what Colin thinks about it because
I heard it muffled in the background when you tried to play it for me earlier, and it sounded A+. So good job. I don't know. So next time we are up to the third story arc, which is the Toydaria arc. Now, Toydaria is, of course, Watto's home planet. Now, I couldn't tell you how these things tie together. We have season 3, episode 3, Supply Lines. And then the second one is season 1, episode 1, Ambush, which was technically the premiere when the TV show launched. Just to remind myself, now I could tell you about Ambush because that was a Yoda episode.
Yeah.
Season 3, episode 3, Supply Lines. That is Jar Jar Binks episode with Bail Organa.
Darn it!
So how these tie together? Because it says that season 3, episode 3, Supply Lines is on. Oh, there we go. It starts on Ryloth, but then yes, it will involve Toydaria on there. So those episodes are going to tie together, and we will rank them and talk about them. And we get to talk about.
I'm excited to talk about Ambush. I love Ambush. It's going to be. It'll probably be my top 20 for episodes at least.
Oh, really? I can tell you where I was when that episode aired, which I won't be able to do for all of them.
I could tell you where I was, but I don't know where I was.
You were what, 7, 6, 5 at the time? 2008?
It's released 2008. I was born 2003, so
you're 5.
5, 6, 7, 8. 5
you
years.
I was
just
5. Turned 5.
Yeah, I would be just turned 5. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about Ambush. I love Ambush, and I can't wait to go into why I like it.
All right, and we will get there next week. My name is Colin, and the fight goes on, gentlemen.
And my name is Patrick. Your take on the Star Wars movie is really bad. Thank you for listening to the new episode of Cantina Cuisine. Make sure you follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts to listen to new episodes coming out every week just for you. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for updates and follow-ups to our episodes and other content that you might like. Again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you all next time. Peace out, nerds.